Hi there, my name is Jack Wallen, and I'm here to give you some insight into the world of being human, being an artist, whatever, and hopefully what I have to say might help you a bit. I don't know, we'll see. I actually attempted to film this thing 3 times last Tuesday, 2 days ago, and each time the audio got out of sync. I don't know why. I'm hoping that I fixed it this time around, but we'll see. Oh, the wonders of technology. Yes, it can be kind of frustrating. I'm actually going to talk about 2 things today, and they are, I believe, related. The first thing I want to talk about is artistic freedom. And it's, I think, one of the single most important things that an artist can embrace. Because what I find, I've worked with countless artists over the years. Actors, singers, writers, dancers, musicians, you name it, directors, you name it, I have worked with them. Painters, stage painters. I always kind of neglect the technicians, stage technicians, but they are artists too. I mean, I know a set designer that his artistry is like, woo, incredible. I think you know who I'm talking about, Carl. He probably won't watch this, but maybe, who knows. So let's talk about artistic freedom. You might think you know what I'm talking about, but, and maybe you do, I don't know, but we'll find out. So every artist, especially young artists, tend to allow themselves to be constricted by various things. Their artistry is confined. It's narrowed. And they think they have to follow these certain rules in order to become successful. Of course, to that I would say success is very relative. Very, very relative. So the thing is, I've said so way too many times, so I'll stop trying to say so. The thing is, when you narrow your artistic freedom, when you limit your artistic freedom, your ability to express your point of view, your story, becomes hindered. Let me give you an example. Actually, I'll give you a couple examples. The first example comes from graduate school when I was at Purdue University. I know that's a Texas thing, but you know what I'm talking about. So I said so. Curse me. We were working on a production of Our Country's Good. It's a beautiful, wonderful show. And if you've ever had the chance to do the show, you know what I'm talking about. I can't remember the character that I was playing because it was so long ago. And I don't even remember what the scene was. I don't even remember if it was me and one other person or me and the entire cast on the stage. But I knew that I was carrying a Bible. And I was down center stage. And we were rehearsing this scene. And I had the Bible in my hands. And I had an inclination. I had an instinct to do something. And I held back. The director caught it. The director knew exactly what it was that I wanted to do. And he said, do it. Do it, Jack. Do it. And for whatever reason, I don't know why. Well, actually, I do know why, and I'll tell you that in a minute. I didn't. I stopped myself. And the director stopped the scene. He said, we're going to go back and start this scene over. And when you get to that spot where you were going to do that thing, you do it. Forget about any preconceived notion about anything. Forget there's anybody else in this room and just do what it is that you thought you were going to do. So we start the scene over and we get to that moment. I had the Bible in my hand and I just started ripping pages from it. Ripping pages and throw them in the air. And those pages just fluttered down. Every one of them. I kept ripping and they kept fluttering. And it was a very powerful moment. And we finished the scene and the director said, that is exactly what that scene needed. And then I stepped back and I thought, well, why? Why did I stop? What in me caused me to not do that thing? Why did I need the director's insistence that I do that? And I finally realized I was working under the constraints of other people's opinions, of other people's sensitivities. Because I knew that there were religious people in the cast, people of faith in the cast. And I mean, to each their own. And I didn't want to insult them, hurt their feelings, or offend them. But I forgot that we were in a safe space. What I always like to say when I'm teaching classes, you're in a safe place to do unsafe things. And I forgot that that wasn't Jack ripping pages from the Bible, it was that character doing it. And turns out, I didn't offend anybody. And it was a very powerful lesson for me. Not a lesson that I should just do whatever the hell I want, but it was a lesson in artistic freedom. That when I constrain and confine myself, my artistry, that I am limited. I am very, very limited when I allow those external constraints to bind me as an artist. Here's another example. When I first started writing Frankenstein Theory, I knew what I wanted. I knew my goal. My goal was to write my take on Mary Shelley's Frankenstein set in the original period. But the important part of it, the most important thing, was making it mine. But when I started writing the book, in the back of my head, I knew that readers were going to expect certain things. I knew this. And it confined me. Because all of a sudden, I felt like I had to write in such a way that would satisfy the needs and the expectations of the readers. I struggled through just the first page of writing that book. I couldn't do it. And I finally deleted everything and I said, okay, I'm confining myself. I am not free. My artistry is not free right now. I've got to free it. How do I do that? All I had to realize was what I was doing was trying too hard to please the expectations of other people instead of pleasing the expectations of the story. So when I went back to write it and I just said, okay, I'm freeing myself, I'm freeing my artistry to do what I need. I am pushing those boundaries away. And I'm going to write the story that I need to write. I'm going to write the story that is honest and truthful and faithful to the characters that I am creating that are based on Mary Shelley's story. Once I did that, the book just flowed right out of me. And it turns out, at the time, it was the best book I had written. And I still love that book because it proved to me a number of things that I could write in that period. And I could take that famous story and make it my own. Now, I want to talk about another thing. I'm going to go back to acting for a second. I have played women on stage a number of times. Surprise, right? I don't know why it's such a surprise, but it is. No, it's not. Sorry. On the times when I have played women on stage, I could have approached it in a way that limited my freedom. I could have said, okay. In one instance, the character was drag queen adjacent. And the other time, and another time, it was not. It was a woman on stage that just happened to be played by a man. So instead of approaching those roles as if I were a drag queen, and this is nothing against drag queens because I have a lot of friends who are drag queens and I love them. But if I were to approach those roles as if I were a drag queen, I would be limiting myself to the ways, means, personalities, ideas of a drag queen. So instead, here's how I approached those roles. And I actually approach many roles this way. This is just one of the techniques that I use. So when I am approaching the idea of playing a woman on stage, what I do is I ask myself, what if I were a woman, what traits of me, of Jack the man, would translate to Jack being a woman? I think about it, and I think about it, and I think about it, and I come up with those traits, those ideas, like my connection to my emotions. That would be obvious. My gesticulation, my flair, my originality, there are lots of things that I think that would translate well. So I take those ideas, those traits of me, and I kind of remove them from myself. Because if I just take those traits of me and I just approach that character as if I'm just applying my traits to that character, it's not going to work as well. It's really just going to be me in a dress, maybe with an affected voice. So what I do is I take those traits and then I say, okay, now I have these traits. What I want to do is apply these traits to a fictionalized character. And by applying them to a fictionalized character, my freedom is limitless. I can create anything I want. I can mold that character, shape that character around those traits that I borrowed from myself, and either make them bigger or smaller or different dimensions or whatever. And I can put those pieces together in such a way that I create something completely new. However, and this is important, this is one of the most important things to me when I approach a character, they come from a place of truth. Truth. That is the key. Thank you, AC, for going off. Sorry about that. It is very hot. If I were to approach those roles from a place of untruth, I would not be honoring the story or the other characters or the other actors or the director or the designers. I have to approach everything from a place of truth. I do that as an actor and a writer. And the only way I can approach a fictionalized character from a place of truth is by using traits of myself and kind of pulling them away, then applying them in different ways to fictionalized characters. The freedom comes when I have those traits and then I apply them to the fictionalized character, because it's unlimitless. It's limitless what I can do, because it's fiction. It's not real. It's of my creation. And that's a great thing to experience. So when you approach any artistic endeavor, one of the things you need to do is let go of preconceived notions of what readers or audience members or viewers or listeners assume should be a part of that character. Because when you do that, it's coming from a place of untruth, and you are severely limiting your freedom as an artist. Whether you are a writer or an actor, it doesn't matter. A designer, it doesn't matter. Let go of those preconceived notions. Let go of those limitations and feel the freedom of your artistry grow and expand. And you will be shocked at what you can create. Now, the second thing I want to talk about, I thought of this morning because with these videos and with the upcoming Me and My Muse stage version, I guess you would call it, I'm having to learn a great deal about film. And this morning I learned quite a bit. I changed all my lighting. I did a bunch of other things. As an artist, as a human being, doesn't matter who you are or what you are, whether you're an artist, a bank teller, a singer, a nurse, it doesn't matter. You should always want to learn something new. And when you approach something that you've not ever done before, approach it in such a way where you think, I want to learn as much as I can about this thing. Not necessarily so that you can be the best at it, although I always approach every endeavor I do in that way, but approach it in such a way that you can consume as much knowledge as you can, because everything you learn, regardless of what it has to do with, you grow. The things that I am learning with regards to filming apply to so many other artistic endeavors. And I feel every time I learn something new, I add a new thing to my artistic palette, I know that every artistic endeavor I do is improved, because I am expanding my knowledge. And sometimes it's kind of scary. When I first started taking my first steps with a film, with a literal cinema camera, I was frightened because I thought, I'm never going to be able to figure this out because it's just too hard. And almost every day, I challenge myself to learn something new about it. And even though I might be taking baby steps, if I approach every day with that same idea, I'm getting better and better and better and better. And it improves everything I do as an artist. Because that, even if it's a little tiny sense of accomplishment, that sense of accomplishment builds. You accomplish this little thing on Monday, and then you accomplish another little thing on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. And by the end of the week, you've accomplished quite a bit. Just keep learning. Seek out new things to learn. Dive down those rabbit holes. Be willing and able to go, I want to know this. Artistic freedom and artistic growth, intellectual growth, emotional growth, growth as a human being. What more could you ask for? Okay, there are a lot, quite a lot you could ask for, but we're not going to go into that right now. Anyway, that's all I have to share today. Hopefully this video turned out okay. The sound is in sync and it looks okay. Otherwise, I might have to film it again because, hey, the fifth time's the charm, right? Anyway, thank you so very much for being a part of my little world here. I hope you've learned something. I hope that I've enlightened you, or maybe inspired you to share this with somebody else you know that could benefit from it. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe or tell someone else to subscribe. Not trying to make any money. I've told you that 100 times. Just trying to spread some kindness and a little bit of information. Anyway, I hope that you and everyone that you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.